YouTube at 71? That's crazy, I can hear the world say. But it's not crazy. Let me tell you the ways. Why am I here? What happened? What do I think, looking back at how I started all of this, what I have now, and an ongoing journey, or at least I hope so. So yeah, story time today. I suppose this little adventure was the next iteration beyond I got a little house. A new level of discovery about the way things are. Sort of unbelievable, really. Another set of juicy magic that descended on me from the universe, not different that much in feel from what happened in those magical moments when I knew I could get this little house, that I had a chance to move out from where I was living into a space that was for me. Yes, as crazy as that, but somehow a bit beyond. I don't think I could have undertaken this YouTube adventure if I didn't have my little house. I wouldn't have been in a space where I could pursue it, where I could feel grounded enough to take on some grand tour around the universe that I had never anticipated. And that's because my little house, what you see here, it speaks to me. It comforts me. It guides me. Some days it tells me what to do. And the thing is, I've learned to listen. And will what I have to say apply to you? I hope so. Why? Because it's about senior creativity. Young and old alike, it's my belief, there's a certain comfort in knowing how creative the older ages can be. And that's partly my message today. There's juicy magic out there, even if you haven't discovered it yet. It's there for you. I believe it. I trust it. I know it's there in each of us. So let me tell you my story. That's what specifically we're here about today. Along the way, I'll be reflecting how I got here, what I saw out there in the universe of YouTube that pushed me in this direction, and my overall take on my personal journey in these first months of my experience having a brand new channel, making videos, of all things, me. I'll get started. I know how it goes. I'll get into things and I'll forget to ask you to subscribe. And I really don't like to interrupt as I get in the flow. So I'm asking you now, if you'll please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel, but it also lets YouTube know we need more authentic content, people who tell it like it is, for us, our age group, or at least things that are relevant to our age group and our interests. So send that signal and hit that subscribe button. And for me personally, those likes, I really appreciate those. I can put a lot of work into video making, and most of it you don't see. And it's nice at the end of the day to be appreciated. Onwards. It was about this time last year, actually, maybe 2 or 3 months later. I don't remember exactly. I wasn't certain what I was going to do next. My seasonal job in the summers, I handled 2 little bookstores. Anyway, my seasonal job was coming to an end, as it does every year in early winter. For the rest of the year, over the colder months, I had typically worked in outdoor retail. I had done that for years, actually decades. And I'd whittled it down to a few hours a week, just enough to keep me afloat. However, my company had gone bankrupt. Actually, it had gone bankrupt several times, but this time I felt it was terminal. So I didn't see a lot for me in that position that I had done for years and years now, mostly out of not thinking up what I'd like to do differently. So there I was, fall 2024, in that rather messy state when you really don't know what you're going to do next, but you really want to do something and you have no idea what it'll be. And nothing quite strikes you as the right sort of element to occupy your thoughts, your life, to make you happy. Now, for some time, I had been thinking I needed a new adventure. There was that. But every time I thought of the word adventure, I couldn't find anything, any fantasy that would quite fit what I felt I needed. In the old days, I might have traveled. I considered van life, but I'm tired of all that. I lived in my car for so many months in so many years. My virtual apartment on wheels. Much as it could be fun, it didn't seem to offer me any kind of enticement that I hadn't already experienced. Now that I think about it, I guess that's what I was looking for, a different sort of experience. And there was nothing on my list of possibilities, at least the one that was going through my head, that would fit the bill. It wasn't in enough of an alternative dimension. My fantasy list, looking back, didn't offer any kind of dramatic growth. I guess I recognized that. There was the possibility that I could write a book. The technical part of the writing, I wouldn't have had any trouble with that. And it would have been something in the realm of a memoir. I'm often asked for that. I've had an interesting life and I have a lot of stories to tell. So I could see that there would be content there for me to do that kind of writing. And it might not even have mattered to me whether others would read it or not. But the truth was the idea didn't grab me enough that I investigated any further or really gave it any deep thought. Frankly, I've had such a crazy life, it might have taken several volumes, and I don't really have a consistent thread that runs through all my experiences and the facts of my living. It would have been hard to come up with that, to put it together, to stitch it in a neat kind of package. And yeah, at 71, the whole prospect seemed extremely tedious to me, and perhaps even psychologically destructive. I didn't want to go there, but I did want to do something different. I just had this bee in my ear. So Brecky gets in there. Oh. So I had this bee in my ear that I was really going to do something different. And I thought, I wonder if I could paint. I've never been any kind of artist in my life. I think I got convinced early that I was useless at it. But the fact was, I really like color. And I like playing with color and pattern, that kind of thing. And I thought, maybe I'll learn how to draw. But here's my challenge. I can't hardly hold a pencil. I woke up one morning 10, 15 years ago, and I could no longer write. It's an overuse problem that developed overnight. So I didn't exactly have it in me to learn how to sketch. I thought about whiling away my time coloring, and that might have been fun, but impossible for the same reason. But I was still on the hunt for something different looking, simmering on the back burners until a clear idea came to me. I even got into gaming at one point. Why? I had a 3-month free subscription to Apple's gaming channel, and I took advantage. I never knew what gaming was about, and I will tell you it's not for me. But in the meantime, I was so appreciative of how creative people are. Half the games I didn't understand, but the ones I did, they seemed so clever and graphically appealing in ways that I liked. Not the kind of violent, overstimulating that I had associated with gaming. It was fun while I had the subscription. All this is to say, though, I was investigating different possibilities. Not in a committed way, but glancing around for new avenues. Where could I go? And my traditional ways of keeping me occupied when I was bored, they were starting to peter out. Maybe they were less interesting to me. Maybe they had become less popular formats in general. I've been into true crime for a long time, and I used to spend hours chatting with folks in writing, speculating about different kinds of cases. What I loved about that was the interactions in our discussions. I met such smart people, young people who'd been all over the world, had really exciting professions, and others who are just contemplative, thoughtful, and yet others who are very different from me, but we could align on the way our brains traveled, how we looked at detail, the kinds of vocabulary we used. Oh, there were some very good writers in those chats. At any rate, I was getting bored. It was no longer as exciting to me. I was passing time, and I realized it. So in a place of abject boredom, indecision, not sure who I was, what I wanted, what would make me feel more, I realized one day I had no idea what I looked like. None. Funny that. I had no idea. For years, I'd only had a mirror from the waist up. I mean, when you're moving around, you don't really have that much opportunity to catch yourself in a full-length mirror. And I don't now, but all of a sudden it struck me. And yeah, I realized I have no idea what I really look like. I wasn't in the habit of taking selfies. Heck, I don't use my phone for much at all. And yes, I had been on Zoom calls, a fair number since COVID had started. But did they tell me anything about what I looked like? Not really. I mean, they weren't that much different from a mirror. I could tell if I had a piece of spinach wedged between my teeth, but beyond that, nothing much. As I thought about that, it occurred to me even more, I had never in my life heard my own voice. 70 years, and I didn't know what I sounded like. And if that thought came to me, what was I going to do? I was going to check it out. I'm sitting here at a computer. I have a camera right in front of me. All I needed to do was click, and I'd have a photo. And if I wanted video, I knew this from way back in the day. There's this little old-fashioned app that comes on a Macintosh computer. It's called Photo Booth. I don't know if you remember when we were kids. You go shopping and there would be a kind of booth that would take Polaroid photos. And you go behind a funky curtain and sit in the booth, plunk in your quarter. Very often you took a friend. And the machine would spit out a strip and you both have a really good laugh. So the Mac comes with this app called Photo Booth. And I knew about it from way back in the day. Had I ever used it? No. But in my wondering about what I might look like, what I might sound like, I pulled up Photo Booth and I hit record, video. And then what did I do? I commented on what I was seeing as I did the video. I did keep that little video. I found that person in front of me as I played it back absolutely unrecognizable. She might have been someone else I'd never met. I guess in some ways she was. I'd never heard that voice before. I'd never seen that face or those expressions. And it would never have occurred to me that those words that came out of her mouth were my words. It was astonishing, revolutionary. It blew my mind. I didn't know what to think. I guess because thinking just really wouldn't have captured the essence of what I was experiencing. And that whole event, those few minutes, I'm not sure I even spoke for more than 20, 30 seconds. I'll have to check the video. Old. I thought I was 40 still. But my gray hair, look at those wrinkles. Oh my gosh. I hardly even have a mirror. I haven't even used a mirror for the last 30 years. What was I thinking? I feel like I'm 40. I'm ready for a new adventure. Actually, I'd never photoed a video before. Never used a video camera. What would I do with it? Video myself? Oh no, I don't think that'd be a good idea. Oh, but now I've got to learn new things. This could be difficult. Can I do it? I don't know, but I'm going to give it a try. I need to do something new this winter. Bye-bye for now. That's all I could tolerate saying. But those glimpses of myself in that moment, I was so shocked and so unfamiliar, I decided what I would do every day, spend a little time hitting that video and talking so I could learn about myself, so I could get familiar with the person I was. And every day, I was astonished. I never knew. I had no idea how other people saw me. And here, I'd given myself a chance to see myself that way. This was a next level experience. And talk about adventures, this was a whole different dimension. And I was fascinated. But the other piece of this, I had no idea what I'd do next. If that was a person I knew nothing about and I was just having to learn about, maybe that person would do something they'd never done before. It was kind of scary. That person I saw on the screen, what might they do? And if I'm sounding a little offbeat right now, that's how it was. But that, to my mind, is how the universe showers us with growth. And I was growing really fast. No, not in height. That horse has left the barn. But in my insides, my sense of myself, the way I looked at the world, the people around me. It was quite the dramatic transformation. Now, in those few weeks, I wasn't making videos in the sense of putting something together. I was merely sitting here in front of the camera and I'd click the record button. And then I'd speak on some random topic, whatever came to mind to me from the current universe, right in front of me. Whatever flopped into my mind, but always a topic. No, it never occurred to me to do anything with those. It was just an adventure at that point, a process of self-knowledge. But at that time too, as I mentioned, some of my forms of entertainment had petered out, and I was in the habit of looking at YouTube videos. I don't pay for cable or anything like that, so YouTube was a format where I could get news, get some entertainment, keep myself interested in the world. So yeah, I watched YouTube videos. And from doing all of that, I realized you didn't have to be a whole lot of anything special to do a YouTube video. It wasn't like you had to really fancy it up or say something scintillatingly spectacular. There's not a lot of that. You could put out a video that was just you being you. Nothing especially creative, but yeah, something someone else might be interested in. As I considered that, my sense of intimidation kind of abated. It was like the tide going out. And I began to wonder, oh, maybe I could do that. I wonder what would happen if I gave that a try. I really didn't have anything to lose. I mean, what would happen? I'm 71. Am I going to lose my reputation? My reputation doesn't matter diddly squat at this point, you know what I mean? Are people going to roll their eyes? Heck if I know. But people I know, they're not going to know I'm going to be on YouTube. Who gives a rip if there's folks out there that are going to be rolling their eyes? And maybe having someone roll their eyes at me, perhaps it's a compliment coming from certain people. You know what I mean? So at 71, that was pretty much my mindset. And then there was this other little piece, and the challenge was on. Here's what happened. You know how it is when you go on YouTube and you're on your home page? Any micro suggestion you might have put out there in your finger tapping that you'd be interested in a topic, YouTube obliges. They'll put something on there that they think will grab your attention. By they, I mean their computers, their robots. So now all of a sudden, my homepage was sprinkled liberally with titles that went like this. 40 is not too late to start YouTube. If you're over 40, start YouTube now. Succeed at YouTube even after 40. And there was evidently a whole industry behind this trope. I mean, lessons, marketing, courses, coaching, viral videos. a whole smorgasbord of over 40, you can do it. Now, was that my invitation to do it? No. I thought it was hilarious. I had never seen anyone link YouTube success to hormonal changes in your 40s. It would never have occurred to me that there is a perimenopausal element to starting a channel and making videos. I mean, it never entered my mind. And what are they thinking? 40-year-olds can't do technology? It made me laugh. Here am I, 71 at that point, now I'm 72. And I know my generation, we were the pioneers in personal desktop computing. We started it. 40-year-olds tech shy? Don't be silly. So that whole morass, those endless videos of over 40 topics, and then people got into over 50, they didn't calm me down or excite me or invite me to join the crowd. They incited me. I felt challenged. The gauntlet was thrown down. I thought, 40? Don't be funny. I bet a 70-year-old can do this. Why not? Yep, the challenge was on. It's one thing to be offered a challenge and another entirely to figure out how to tackle it. And that's where I was at that point. There were two kinds of tackling that I needed to do. I had to decide what I was going to be talking about and what kind of style. And then there were technical issues, like how do you put a video together? Let's talk topic and style first. I was pretty clear I'd like to do something based on my little house. In the past, 6 or so years ago, I had a blog. It covered day by day, blow by blow, how I got this little house, how it was financed, how I found a lot, how it was constructed, the interior design, all of it. Every day there was something. The lot getting cleared, the home getting measured, the house getting built, discussions about what would go in the interior. Financing, financing, and financing. I knew that other folks could have a house like this. There were programs out there. I used traditional programs. And that had been the purpose of my blog, to get out there the process of what it would take to get a little house. I wanted others to be able to have little houses like mine. I didn't see why not. Unfortunately, in the move into this little house, I forgot to pay the website bill. So all that work, hundreds of blog entries, information that I had collected as an everyday kind of experience, it all got nuked. But I still had this idea that I wanted to contribute my knowledge about this house project so other folks could get houses. I was pretty sure I'd want to be in a category like that. So if that was my aim, what style did I want to use? Well, one style of video is to get up there and educate folks about facts. But to get that right, you got to do research, or else you have to be a professional expert. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend my 70s researching cement making techniques, or how paint dries, or sustainable flooring materials. That's not my idea of retirement, or interesting. Oh, you could talk about financing, you'd say. No. Consider the dangers. Make one little mistake about financing information in a video that's public to thousands of people. Someone could be at risk of a home. I wasn't going to have that, and I didn't want the pressure of producing that way. Okay, so not that style. How about the kind of education style that's tips, techniques, recommendations, guidance, advice? Here's my thing about that. At my age, I'm not into listening to advice. I don't know about you, but I feel that I've had a lot of experiences under my belt, and I don't need to hear it from someone else. Yeah, if I hire an attorney, I'm going to listen to that person. I'm going to pay them to give me good advice. But a Joe Schmo telling me what to do? No. Not only do I think they'd have very little to offer, I'm not saying nothing, but I'm saying very little. In my 70s, I'm not amenable to listening to advice. No need for tips, recommendations, or guidance. I'm too old. So I wasn't going to do that kind of thing. If I thought I'm too old to be receiving advice and it would make me cranky, how would that be if I issued it? All kinds of no. That's like hypocrisy. And here's the other thing about advice giving. To my mind, it puts the advice giver one step above whoever they're giving advice to. I don't think of the world that way. I think of the world, we each have our experiences, let's share. But you don't get to tell me what my experience is, or how to do stuff, or how to engage with the world. Your experiences are as valuable to you as mine are to me. When I thought about it that way, it was clear I didn't want to create a channel where there was any remove between me and you all. I want both my and my viewers' experiences to be equally valid. No one person standing above another when it comes to how they encounter their world, or what they've been through, or how they see things. And incidentally, that's why you'll see almost no advice in my channel. There are a couple of areas of expertise that I do have, but mostly, I don't want to be out there telling folks what to do, nor do I want my viewers telling each other what to do in the space of my channel. Maybe you've noticed that. So if I've eliminated the obvious styles of educating people, whether they're teaching things or offering tips and recommendations, what was I left with? Well, there's folks that go traveling or they go about their day and they show you what they're looking at. To my mind, that takes a fair amount of visual acuity and skill that I don't really have. I can't make it exciting visually. And that's what I really like about those kinds of videos. So I didn't feel I had that sort of thing in me. And I don't travel anymore, so I don't go to really exciting places. I didn't feel I had the content to do that. What did that leave me with? Something very exposed. It put me in the realm of speaking from my heart, of being authentic, noticing what was happening in the moment and speaking about it. Thoughts, feelings, observations, and putting them out there for everyone to scrutinize. That is an entirely new avenue for me. And by that I mean, it's new to me every single day. It was new to me last fall, and it's new to me now. Whole new territory. I'm feeling my way, working things through. I never know quite what's in store for me from myself. It's quite a fascinating journey in that regard, but also incredibly revealing and exposed. But that's what I elected to do. At this time of my life, that's where I am. I needed an adventure, this one. It was a dimension I'd never been in. Oh, how I'd never been in this dimension. I had so much to learn about myself, and there's something new every day. As far as video genre, that's the direction I went in. And those were the reasons. They suited me. Someone else might sit here and talk about how they arrived at content. Really, I've had no problem coming up with content. I have way too many content ideas. That's more difficult for me, picking one, than it is groveling around trying to find something that would speak to me on a particular day. How about putting videos together, making a video, the kind you can put out there? Now that was a challenge. Let me tell you the ways. I mentioned last fall when I first wanted to see how I was on a video, I clicked the go live button. That was the whole extent of my skill. That was it. So consider what this must have looked like if I'm deciding, maybe I'll do a YouTube channel. Y'all, I didn't know there was editing. I didn't know there was such a thing. In 70 years, I had never thought about that there was editing when it came to movies. I thought maybe you chopped off the beginning and the end and you could do that. I didn't realize you could splice it all up and stick things together, things that might be random. I didn't know that movies came like layered. And you'd have a picture layer, and a voice layer, and a music layer. I didn't know about any of that. But I soon found out there's a thing called editing. So I had to investigate. I have iMovie on my computer. I'd never opened it. I clicked it open, put one of my little videos in there. I had never seen anything like that. Sound waves, your whole video broken into frames. I had no idea what I'd even do with it. Luckily, about that time, I heard there were new kinds of editing softwares where you put in your video and they transcribe it into words. And then you edit the words and it magically edits the video. So that's what I do. I edit videos as though they're text. I don't know how I could ever have learned to do this without that facility. So there was that. And then it was winter. Winters here are dark, and we don't have a lot of hours of daylight. That meant I had to have some artificial lighting here. I had had a ring light that I used for Zoom meetings, but I clearly needed something a bit more than that. So I had to start experimenting with light. I don't know about you, but here's what happens if you're in your 70s and the lighting isn't right. I'm sure teens and 20-somethings knew about this long ago. If the lighting isn't right, for me, my wrinkles will look about an inch deep. This has been one of the most difficult technical aspects for me to master. How to get my lighting right. And I'm still learning. And the interesting thing, I would never have thought about this a year ago. It's important to me to present my best look. I haven't bothered with that for years. I'm a little fascinated that I'm taken with that. But yeah, in progress. And then there was the matter of the microphone. This turned out to be easier for me as far as mastering the use of it. But I'll tell you what happened. I wasn't used to turning on a microphone before I spoke. I can't tell you how many videos I recorded and then ran them through again and found out they were mute. Why? I'd forgotten to turn the microphone on. Something that simple. It took me a long time to evolve the practice of making that happen for myself. Even with all of that, those obvious technical pieces that I had to master, there was so much else going on. For a while there, I was making videos the wrong shape for YouTube. I mean, I didn't know I had to think about that. I thought you just make a video. It turns out, in my cluelessness, I was making square videos. YouTube doesn't have square videos. It has rectangular videos. Yes, we're talking that level of clueless. And when was that? This January of 2025. So I was in that mode, developing ideas for a YouTube channel, learning technical kinds of things, and taking raw film of me talking about various topics. And I still hadn't pushed the button. I hadn't firmly decided that was really what I was going to do. It was a big risk. Two things happened that shoved me forward. They were this. Personally, I need to work. I need the extra income to afford my life. Basics. I don't live fancy, but there are bills to pay, yes. So in the course of winter, I thought, well, if I do YouTube, it's only going to be part-time. I better apply for a job. And since my old company had gone under, and I wasn't interested in working for the new iteration, how about if I work at Barnes & Noble? And the fact is, they had a job offer out there at that very moment. I had seen the announcement. And what did they want? They wanted a part-time employee who would be out on the floor, no register, who would be engaging with customers, and who would be doing some of the merchandising. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll apply. Let's see, I've had 20 years in retail on the floor. I handle 2 bookstores in the summer. I do the merchandising and the receiving. I have rave reviews from customers for 20 years. And I've read in every topic you have in a Barnes & Noble store. I have a PhD, and PhDs read stuff like that, like all over the map, especially if they've come from humanities fields. That would be me. And I've traveled all over the globe. I've probably been to almost all those places, all those travel books. I've likely been there. So I applied for the job. A few weeks later, I got the email response. What did it say? Are you ready for this? It said, you're unqualified. That's the word they used. You're unqualified for this position. It blows my mind. And consider how many millions Barnes & Noble is probably spending to recruit good candidates for their company. It's no wonder they can't keep employees. What are they thinking? Has it occurred to the higher-ups at Barnes & Noble that there might be something a little bit off with their recruiting system? Anyway, I'll stop with that little rant right now, but I can't imagine what the problem with Barnes & Noble is. And picture this, what must it be like working for them? And you know me by now, right? The challenge was on. This Barnes & Noble ridiculousness convinced me not to work for the time being, just to pour my energies into YouTube, into making this channel to see if it would work. I thought maybe I could make a little income. Now, I did promise that there was a second thing that kind of got a fire under me, that shoved me ahead. It was my own sense of wonder. What was I wondering about? I was wondering whether I could make enough money on YouTube to buy a car. That simple. I wonder if I can make enough money on YouTube to buy a car. I will need to replace my car at some point. It will be the last car I ever get. I wonder if I can make enough money on YouTube to buy it. That was my thought. It powers me. Now, on the subject of money, I do see creators on many channels talking about how much money they make. I don't plan to do that. However, this is what happened to me, and I'm not going to give you facts and figures. I put out my first video in early February. By the end of February, I had met the benchmarks to get paid for ads in my videos. Yes, by the end of February. Now, I'm very careful to say I met the benchmarks, because what happened next was another example of my total cluelessness. I filled the paperwork out incorrectly. I clicked a box that shouldn't have been clicked. As a result, I couldn't get paid. Not only that, I wasn't allowed to get paid for several months. So yeah, I qualified very quickly. Did I get paid right away? But I am now. As to the amount, remember that car I said I had ambitions about? It might take me 10 years to get one of those. Just saying. And consider this. I'm 72. In 10 years, am I going to be driving? Probably not. I want to wind up a bit with my thoughts. They go like this. Remember I said this was about my house? It's about my house. To do a project like this, it takes an environment that supports creativity. I find that here. I think I haven't found a place like that my entire life until now. I haven't been this creative for decades. It's been a spectacular experience. The last time I felt even close to this was when I was writing my undergraduate honors thesis. That's 50 years. Here I am in my 70s, full of capabilities and finding new ones every day. My brain is oh so sparkly. I have new ways of using it. I'm shocked at this development in my life, in awe. wonder. I can't believe I found a rich, creative outlet in my life, in my 70s. I would never have guessed. I never imagined I could do something like this. Never imagined that I'd want to do something like this. And I had absolutely no intention of starting an entrepreneurial business, let alone working hours and hours a week on it. That's my revelation. It's been one of the most absorbing, intense, and brilliant experiences of my life. And I'm so glad to have you here with me, enjoying my journey in this moment, and I hope through the videos that I have to come. I want to invite you to put your thoughts in the comments, not just about what I've said, maybe something strikes you there, but also, have you had creative moments in your older age? I mean, after retirement, when you found a you that you didn't know existed. That's so fresh and exciting. Share it. And with that, I'll say goodbye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk soon, all right? See you then.